In this week's episode, I want to show you guys how you can make gorgeous, dreamy pads out of live instruments like guitars and other instruments within your DAW. And the best part about this is I'll be doing this using completely free plugins that you can download now, or most likely you already have alternatives to these. Let's hop into FL Studio and get to this. So I like to do this with guitar, so I'm just going to grab my guitar and record a couple of guitar lines. Super simple, just recording guitar ARPs. This method generally works best with an ARP, but I'm sure you can do it with simple melodies as well. Now that I've got my recordings in FL Studio, I'm going to start with the second ARP first, the higher octave one. I'm just going to drag that into a mixer track. We'll call this mixer track Guitar Synth. Let's color it in yellow. Why not? This is how our guitar ARP is sounding. Just a guitar ARP, nothing fancy going on at all at the moment. First thing I'm going to do is just clean it up with a bit of EQ. Just want to add a bit of brightness and duck down some of that lower frequencies. That lower string pluck is a little bit harsher. So the next thing I'm going to add into my chain is a compressor. Now I'm using TDR Kotelnikov, but you can use any compressor that you have. And all I want to do here is catch any peaks, just to make sure the sound is not totally flat, but nothing spiking out too much. It's not made too much of a difference, but it will do in the end product. And the next thing I'm going to add here is going to start to give us a little bit more of a crazy sound is a delay. So I'm just using the stock Fruity Delay 3. So if I just play that with its default setting, this is how it's going to sound. So it's a little bit crazy, but maybe you can see how this is going to work. What I think I'm going to do there is turn that time right down. Let's go to the 1. It might be a bit much. I'm going to turn the level and the cutoff down here, and I might actually put it on a ping pong setting as well. Just so it's a little bit more subtle. But it's definitely still there, and it's really kind of muddying up that ARP that we recorded. And that is intentional, because what we're going to do next is essentially drown this in reverb. So let's load up Valhalla Supermassive. And this is a free VST that just gives you some really great presets for massive reverbs. And a really simple way of achieving this is just turning the mix up to 100, even on the default preset. But we can do more than that. So I'm just going to play around with this a little bit and see what we can get. Copy the settings if you want to copy this exactly. What I'll do is turn the mix up. And here we're kind of getting somewhere here, but it's still not got that kind of lush, warm pad sound. And that's because we can still hear the plucks of the guitar strings. So the next thing I'm going to add, and this might be the last thing, is another EQ. And what I'm going to do with this EQ is we'll just kind of flatten it out like this. Take the highs and the lows. I'm just going to adjust the frequencies of these bands until we get rid of the plucks from the actual live guitar sound. Just by adjusting this low pass, we can make this a really warm drone sound. We can open it up to give it more of a pad sound. Or we can squish it down and give us that really warm kind of drone background sound. and that actually sounds really nice. I think what we'll do is we'll open it up for now. So now that we have this almost pad sounding guitar, let's actually listen to how it sounded originally. And then with our effects on. So we're very nearly there. What I'm going to do now is freeze this sound as it is with all of our effects. So we now get it as its own sample. And then what I can do is drag that into its own track and mess with this on its own. So I might add a little bit of sprinkle with a Solaris plugin. And at this point, I'm just playing around to get a sound that I think sounds really nice. And here, what I'm going to use is TDR Nova to do the final step, and I think I just want to squish that high pluck frequency. But what I'm going to do is use TDR Nova as a dynamic EQ. So let's find that frequency. And then every time that hits, it's just going to duck that EQ. And there you go, just like that, we've turned our live guitar into a weird drone kind of synthy sound. And this is a technique that you can do with probably pretty much any instrument. Another plugin that I love to use on this sound is a plugin called Flux Mini 2. Now this is essentially kind of a sidechain automation kind of plugin. I don't know how to describe it, but what it does is it just cuts the frequency in time with the shape that you make. You can adjust the time, you can adjust the shape. It's really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'll just show you how it sounds now with this on. And if we drop that time down, you see it gets faster, and you can start to make something really interesting. Slow that down a bit. And so now we've got this cool sounding synth. Let's try and just add some piano chords on top of it. So just added these piano chords. And then I've added a second piano. It's just playing a really simple 1 and 5 motif. And then what I've actually done as well is I've brought in our original guitar sample and I've kind of just layered them together. You get the original sound and you get the nice kind of drone sound that we made. So let's just stick some drums on this and call it a day. A really nice sounding start to a really lovely beat. So I thought I'd just try something different this week and show you one of the techniques that I use in my tracks rather than just breaking down a whole track in like 10-15 minutes. And this is a technique that I'm starting to use more and more as I delve into sound design and how to kind of create my own sounds. I hope you found this helpful, and if there's any other techniques you'd like me to try and showcase or talk about, things that you see me do in my tracks, do let me know in those comments. Now I know a lot of you guys that follow the channel are lo-fi music producers yourself, so I just wanted to do a little announcement. I started a lo-fi playlist on Spotify where I'm curating all the tracks that I'm really into right now. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in hearing what I'm listening to right now. But I also love to support smaller artists and support you guys for supporting me on the channel. So drop a link to your latest track in the comments here, or DM me over on Instagram with a track that you think would fit my playlist. And if you're one of my subscribers and your track fits the vibe of the playlist, I'll add it right to the top, and hopefully we can get you some more streams. Do drop comments with your latest tracks and I'd love to check them out. Peace out.